Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Poor Decisions, the true crime and wine podcast where we sip, spill, and solve some seriously twisted stories. I am your host, Brett, and I'm happy to be back with you guys. I hope you guys did not miss me too much. But today's episode, we do have another viewer recommendation coming from my friend Casey, and this is the case of Juan David Ortiz, a former Iraqi veteran and Border Patrol cop turned serial killer. So grab your glass, pour up, and let's dive in. So before we get into the wine of the week, let's take a minute to do all the free things that we can do to help and support this podcast. So first, make sure if you haven't yet, please just take a moment to hit that subscribe button and subscribe to this channel. And while you're at it, give this video a like. These are the most important ways to show your support and help us keep the podcast going and growing so that we can get more sponsors like this one. You see this shirt that I'm wearing? It says corks are for quitters. It's so on brand for Poor Decisions, right? Well, this is from the brand Wine Girl. And here at Poor Decisions, we are officially brand ambassadors. So check out Wine Girl's merch shop online at www.shopwinegirl.com and shop for wine-inspired merch just like this shirt and plenty others for my girlies. Use our code PD15 to receive 15% off your orders. And if you're in the Scottsdale, Arizona, Napa Valley, California, or coming soon, San Diego, California, you can visit their physical locations where you can visit and try different wines or attend one of their many cool events. So back to it. Now let's get into the wine of the week. Now, last week or 2 weeks ago, we did a 19 Crimes Cabernet Sauvignon. And I did hear from a number of you guys that it was too dry for you, and I get it. I know that Cabernets are definitely on the drier side. I really do like Cab, so I wanted you guys to experience that with me. So tonight, we're gonna give the 19 Crimes another chance for you guys. So 19 Crimes, but this one we have the red blend. Typically, red blends are kind of in the middle of a dry and a sweet, but a little bit more on the sweeter side. We're still getting out of the sweet, so we don't want too sweet, but it's not a drastic jump to dry like the Cab. So tonight we're gonna try this one. So for this one, our flavor profile, it says it's rich and round with a soft fruity finish and sweet aromatics, a note of chocolate. This one is a 13.5%. So in case y'all can tell, the higher the alcohol percentages on the wines, I like better because I feel like it takes less to get there. Some wines, especially sweet wines, you might find with like 6 and 5%, it's gonna take you a couple glasses to really do you right. So this one is a 13.5. And like we discussed previously with the 19 Crimes, each bottle, there's a different criminal. So let's take a look at this one. We have John Boyle O'Reilly. And on the back of these, it gives you kind of the story of it. So it says that he was an Irish-born poet and he was arrested for mutiny in 1866. And he was sentenced to 20 years in an Australian penal colony. And then O'Reilly convinced a Catholic priest to help him pull off a daring escape. So let's see what John tastes like. So we're gonna pour, of course, in our Poor Decisions glass. And let's have a sip. I'm trying to remember, hold it from the bottom. And let me swirl a little bit, I gotta work on my swirls, y'all. So when you swirl it, it's supposed to get your flavors going. I'm not the best. Again, we're growing in this. Let's taste it. It's still a little dry. I like it. In my opinion, in my palate, it's definitely less harsh or less bold than the Cabernet, but it is kind of bold. So next week, we'll try to go a little bit sweeter for you guys. I don't want the jump to be too drastic for you guys either, because I don't really want to like scare you off from trying it. I know it's a journey, so we definitely need to baby step that journey. But if you guys are trying it with me, don't forget, let us know in the comments what you think of it, how you feel about it. Let's talk about it. Now, without further ado, let's dive into this crime. Juan David Ortiz was born on May 22nd, 1983 in Bexar County, Texas, near San Antonio, which is pretty much where he lived up until he joined the U.S. Navy, where he then served as a hospital corpsman from 2001 to 2009. Now, I know y'all are wondering, what the heck is a hospital corpsman? Because I wanted to know too, so I did some research. A hospital corpsman is pretty much a medical professional who works alongside physicians and nurses and provides health care to other Navy personnel and their families. So it almost sounds like a nurse, but I guess maybe they're like a step down under a nurse. Maybe they don't have as many like qualifications that is required for a nurse. That part I don't know, but if you do have any knowledge on, Navy rankings and hospital corpsmen, shed some light in the comments for me so that we all can know. But anyway, while in the Navy, Juan David Ortiz met Daniela J. Ortiz, who he would marry on August 11th of 2004 in Brownsville, Texas. And together they would have 3 children. Now let's take a moment and let's walk through some of Juan David Ortiz's Navy service highlights. So again, he first joined the Navy in July of 2001, where he initially trained at Naval Recruit Training Command in Great Lakes, Illinois, and then at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas. Between the years of 2002 to 2005, he was deployed to Camp Pendleton in San Diego, California, and then to 29 Palms, which is just about a 2-hour distance apart from the first one, Camp Pendleton. He also was a part of a detachment with the 1st Marine Division to Iraq. So he is, like I said, an Iraqi veteran. And then later, between the years of 2005 to 2009, Juan served as an instructor in Texas, where he taught combat casualty care and trauma support. He concluded his naval career at Fort Sam Houston and was honorably discharged in May of 2009 at the rank of Hospital Corpsman 2nd Class. After leaving the U.S. Navy, Juan David Ortiz was hired with the U.S. Border Patrol, where he would go on to work for about the next 10 years as an intelligence operator at the Joint Intelligence Center at the Laredo sector. Now that we all have all of his background information out the way, we're going to fast forward, some time. So we're going to take a little pause for another wine break. Y'all, I love wine so much. If you don't like wine, I think something I'm about to say something is wrong with you, but I don't want to say that because to each his own, everybody has advice. But anyway, let's get back into it. In February 2018, Juan David Ortiz sought help from the VA. And for those who don't know, the VA, it stands for Veterans Affairs, and it's pretty much exclusively a medical center that provides services to military veterans. So Ortiz noticed that his alcohol use had pretty much gotten out of hand, and he was drinking way more than he should have. So he decided on his own to reach out to the VA for some help. The VA recognized his mental health decline, and he was diagnosed with PTSD stemming from his combat deployments. And this is when Juan claims that the VA fucked him up. With his new diagnosis, he was prescribed a number of medications, including, and forgive me if I pronounced them wrong, I have never heard of some of these. I'm not on a lot of medications myself, just for migraines, but I'm gonna try my pronunciation as best as I can. So he was prescribed Paxil for his anxiety and depression, Devoprox for irritability and anger, trazodone for sleep nightmares, and gabapentin for migraines. And it was a combination of side effects from all of his meds that made him feel worse and put him in a different mind space. And pretty much, if you guys know, I'm sure you guys know from your own self, for someone that you know, or just common knowledge, a lot of medications do come with side effects. And a lot of times when you mix medication A with medication B, it's almost like how people call it like a medication cocktail. Like one side effect will mess with this medicine, or this medicine will heighten that side effect. And I can only imagine, by being on this many medications, like it probably definitely was not a good recipe for him. And he definitely probably had some struggles, okay? Now, next we're gonna hop into the actual murders and how he became labeled as a serial killer. But first, get another sip, guys, if you're trying this. I like the taste of it, so I keep trying to get ones, but make sure you got, even if you only take a small sip, because when you first sip it, you can taste the fruitiness. Even when you just go, I get that, like, breathe in, but y'all probably think I'm weird the way I just said that. Sometimes I don't know how to properly describe wine flavors and things because, again, I'm not a wine connoisseur, but I'm trying to learn. I definitely did find some charts that I will share on our Instagram at It's Poor Decisions that can help you, when you're tasting wine, know what to describe it as. How people say, oh, this is oaky, or this is earthy, this is bold, this is smooth, this is rich. We're gonna start to try to incorporate more descriptions like that. So we're on our way, okay? Anyway. So between September 3rd through 15th of 2018, Juan David Ortiz murdered 4 female sex workers in areas near Laredo, Webb County, Texas. The first of his victims was 29-year-old Melissa Ramirez. Her loved ones described her as a happy mother who was once a dedicated student, but Ramirez's life began to unravel in her early teens when a bipolar diagnosis went untreated. Her family had no idea that in the next coming years, she had turned to drugs and then became a sex worker to make ends meet and to support her drug addiction. Her body was found on the side of the road on September 3rd, 2018. She was shot twice in the head, execution style. Law enforcement officers discovered 40 caliber shell casings left behind at the scene from the brand Federal, which was an ammunition supplier used by, guess who? Law enforcement agencies. Investigators learned that Ramirez was close with another woman working on the streets named Claudine Loera. They believed she may have some information that could help the investigation, but there was no sign of Claudine. Then, on September 13, exactly 10 days after Melissa Ramirez's body was found, authorities finally located 42-year-old Claudine Loera, but not in the way that they had hoped. She had been shot along a road about 2 miles from where Melissa's body was found. She was rushed to the hospital where she later died. At the scene, the same 40 caliber Federal ammunition cases were found, which linked the 2 murders together. According to Claudine's daughter, Sierra, Claudine had a difficult childhood and was sexually assaulted by a neighbor when she was young. Now, although this left Claudine very damaged, she later became a very dedicated mother. However, when Sierra was a teenager, she said her mother, Claudine, began dating a man who introduced her mother to heroin. He is no good, girl. And similar to Melissa Ramirez, Claudine also turned to sex work to now support her drug addiction. Investigators worked tirelessly to put the pieces together and track down any leads. They got a break they needed just 2 days after Claudine Loera was killed, when a half-dressed woman ran to a Department of Public Safety officer who was pumping gas. The woman made a claim that she had just been attacked by a man in a nearby parking lot. The woman was Erica Pena, who was also a sex worker. She told the officer that she had been out with one of her regular clients who she knew as David. But she said when she asked him about the 2 recent murders of her friends, his demeanor drastically changed. She said the man named David took out a gun and pointed it at her head. She somehow managed to escape his grasp by slipping out of her blouse. She then was able to escape out of the passenger side of his truck and ran to a nearby gas station where luckily she ran into the Department of Public Safety officer. So let's check out some body cam footage of when she ran into that officer.
Me sacó la pistola y me quería subir y yo empecé a gritar, help me, help me.
¿Ya se fue?
Sí. Ay, me asusté bastante, sir.
I know, pues it's a shock. I mean, you just escaped from a possible kidnap.
Es que de repente me dio un feeling, sir, de algo de él, and he got very weird all of a sudden. I got a vibe.
A bad vibe.
Erica Pena not only gave investigators a detailed description of David, but she also led the police back to his home. The home was owned by Juan David Ortiz and his wife Daniela. Soon after, investigators learned of yet another victim who had been dumped along a road. The body was identified as 35-year-old Giselda Alicia Hernandez Cantu. Giselda Cantu was a mother of 2 sons and 2 daughters. According to her brother Joey Cantu, Giselda, aka Shelly, was quite the character with a kind heart and a bold personality. They grew up under the care of their grandmother after tragically their mother was killed when Joey was 4 years old and Giselda was just 2. Joey recalled that even though he was older, Giselda was always protective of him. He said if she loved you, then she was really loyal to you. Soon after, Juan David Ortiz's truck was spotted at a nearby gas station, and officers confronted him as he exited the store.
Turn around! Turn around! Turn around!
Stop right there! Stop! 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 Is this your truck? Is this your truck? Okay, all right. Sir, we got a positive ID with some. This truck right here is matching with the potential, with the murders that's been happening within the past 2 weeks. We want to do an interview. We want to do some questioning. We just need for you to cooperate with us, okay? All right, fine. Make my way. Just turn around and make my way this way, okay? Turn around, please. Turn around. Hey, 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 hey.
Let's take a sip. Ortiz was found hiding in the bed of a pickup truck in a hotel parking lot. He was taken into custody and brought back to the station for questioning. Initially, Ortiz thought it was funny and made jokes about outrunning the troopers. Let's take a look.
Damn, who's the trooper I smoked, man? The trooper couldn't keep up with me, dude. Tell him he needs to work out some more, man. 2 of them. Two troopers, good. I was fucking running, dude.
Ortiz initially denied knowing any of the victims or having anything to do with the murders. But after 9 hours of being interrogated, he eventually confessed.
We're not gonna kick in your door like your ass. We're not gonna mess up your house. We're not gonna mess up your property. I'll give you that picture. I'll even ask the sheriff for permission to let you take it in. I can work on that. All I'm asking for is for you to do the right thing. It does matter. Don't wait to help my wife. Keep my retirement, right? There's no way till they can keep that. Oh, she's on her retirement.
During his confession, he even told investigators about a 4th victim, 28-year-old Janelle Ortiz, whom he'd killed and left in a gravel pit that same day on September 15th just before authorities tracked him down at the gas station.
I remember that phone call, my mom, scared. Mija, they killed the girl. And then, I think a week later, mija, another one? They killed another one, mija.
Elva Enriquez's daughter, 28-year-old Janelle Ortiz, was a regular on San Bernardo Avenue in September 2018 when the killings began.
I did call Janelle because you just never know. She was like, no, yeah, I'm okay. You know, nothing will ever happen to me. You know, all my angels protect me. And
I would just be safe, come home a decent hour.
How would you describe her?
really friendly, really outgoing. She was really funny. Sadly, I get that phone call. A phone call you never expect, you know.
I went to my knees. I cried for 2.5 hours.
I mean, I know she had her battles. She chose the path, you know, but she was loved, very loved.
Ortiz told investigators that after Erica Pena escaped, he knew it was only a matter of time before he was caught. So he decided to then accelerate his killings, and he had actually planned to continue killing up until the moment he was caught. He told investigators that the first killing of Melissa Ramirez happened after she had gotten high and passed out in his truck. When Ramirez awoke, she asked him to get out of the truck, and that's when Ortiz shot her with his service weapon. Ortiz claimed the killings had been motivated by a need to clean up the streets. He felt that sex workers were a waste of space because they really had no real job, so therefore they had no real purpose. He felt by getting rid of them, he was actually doing a good service. But investigators didn't believe that. According to other sex workers who had been picked up by Ortiz, he was known to pick girls up and just take them for a ride, like a drive, while just talking, not actually really having sex with them. Some of the girls felt that they had actually developed a friendship with Ortiz. The investigators believed that Juan David Ortiz instead began to get a little too close with these sex workers, and that may have possibly threatened things for him in his life, in multiple ways, including his marriage and possibly his job. For 4 years, the trial of Juan David Ortiz faced numerous setbacks due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But finally, on November 28th of 2022, the trial finally began and lasted 8 days. During trial, the state played back jail phone calls between Ortiz and his wife, where Ortiz said he mainly had concerns about his confession. The same confession that his defense team tried to argue was coerced and unlawful. They stated that after 9 hours of questioning that continued even after Ortiz stated he no longer wanted to talk, he was suffering from PTSD and insomnia at the time of questioning and had also been drinking while medicated. His defense argued that it was pressure that he felt which made him confess, so therefore the confession should not be considered. Prosecutors in response told the jurors it was a legal confession provided by an educated senior law enforcement officer who advised Juan David Ortiz was in his right state of mind and was not having a mental breakdown at all at the time of being questioned. The trial also consisted of many testimonies, including Erica Pena, who merely escaped becoming Ortiz's 5th victim, arresting officer Captain Federico Calderon of the Webb County Sheriff's Department, and Webb County Medical Examiner Corinne Stern testified that Melissa Ramirez, Claudine Luera, and Janelle Ortiz were all fatally shot execution style, but Giselda Cantu was shot in the neck and died from blunt force trauma to the head. A ballistics expert also testified that the bullets collected from the crime scenes came from the same gun that matched the weapon that was found in Juan David Ortiz's pickup truck. Ortiz was charged with 4 counts of murder, 1 count of unlawful restraint, 1 count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and 2 counts of evading arrest. On December 7th, 2022, after just 5 hours, the jury unanimously found Juan David Ortiz guilty of capital murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And there you guys have it. That is the crazy, insane Border Patrol cop and Iraqi war veteran turned serial killer Juan David Ortiz. Now let's take a sip before we jump into our case discussion. Now I know that typically for our case discussion, we have questions. I don't really have a question. Well, I guess I have one question. Do you believe that possibly the medications that he was prescribed and due to his PTSD condition, diagnosis, that played a part at all in these murders? According to the amount of research that I have done, this has been a great debate. There have been a lot of other people who said that, hey, I've suffered from PTSD, or hey, I was a war veteran and I never thought about, killing and unaliving other people. And I get that, because there are a lot of times where when we talk about, let's say, like other serial killers, a lot of people will say, oh, when this person was growing up, their parents physically abused them. And it's just like, I feel like a lot of times it's too easy to make excuses for people. There are plenty of people who grow up with, not the best circumstances through childhood, or maybe possibly being abused by their parents or someone else, and they don't grow up and decide to unalive people or be bad people. Some people can take that and fuel it into something different and better. And I feel like the same could be said for other veterans or other people with other mental health diagnoses. Now, I will tread lightly on that because I've never been a war veteran. I have been diagnosed with PTSD stemming from a severe car accident, but nothing that I feel as extreme as being in war. We all know what happened in Iraq and overseas, and I cannot begin to ever imagine what these people, veterans, see, experience, go through. And honestly, I know me personally, I don't have the heart for that. That's why I've never signed up to be in the military. I will honestly tell you guys that when I was in high school, I thought I wanted to be in the Air Force, but that was really just because I heard that when people are in the military, oh, you make a lot of money. That was kind of my driving force for that. I really don't have the heart of doing it. I would never even make it out of anybody's basic training, but that's neither here nor there. I pretty much say that to say, I know that I can't compare the level of PTSD that I had with someone who's been at war. Now, granted, mine came from being in a car accident where I blacked out. I hit a tree on my driver's side and my car flipped sideways into a creek. And I didn't really remember a lot of really what happened. And now I'm afraid in the car. Even in my accident, I was the one driving, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This is why I stress when I post these, make sure you guys drink responsible. Unfortunately, I was under the influence. So, I was the only car involved, and that was my own fault. So you would think that when I'm driving in the car with someone else, why would I be afraid when I did it to myself? Or even in my accident, I was coming from a vineyard, drinking wine, tasting wines. I was in windy roads, not on the highway. But when I'm on the highway, I have extreme anxiety. But I say that to say it can be all different. Someone else can get into a car accident like the one that I was in, and they don't have any issues. They walk away, they see that, oh, I could have lost my life, I almost did, but I'm fine, so they carry on. Everyone's mental and their brain is wired different, so it's kind of hard to be concrete and say, yes, this played a factor, or no, this didn't. But if I could be 100% honest in the way that I personally feel, again, when I do case discussions, this is all my personal opinion, I do believe that more than likely he was suffering from some PTSD. He was diagnosed with it. I'm sure he did wake up having horrible nightmares and experiencing migraines and having severe depression and anxiety. Maybe the side effects from his medicine, like, you know, he was feeling away and he just wanted it to stop. And for someone else, they might feel the way for them to stop that is to maybe unalive themselves. But for him, maybe it was fuel to unalive someone else, or like he said, clean up the streets. I feel like that part is made up, because I don't know how cleaning up the streets helps your diagnosis at all. I'm not sure. I feel like that part might have been a load of crap. I do kind of agree with what the investigators thought. Like some of the girls said, you weren't even picking up sex workers for the purpose of having sex with them. You were just driving around with them, talking to them like they thought. You were developing friendships with them. I think he needed someone to talk to. Maybe, I know he was at the VA. I'm not sure if he actually had like a therapist, but maybe that's what he needed, someone to talk to. I know he was married, he had a wife, but sometimes talking to your partner about certain things, he might not have been comfortable. Maybe, you know, partners hold you to a different standard. So maybe in front of Daniela, he had a different front, that even though I've experienced all this crazy stuff and I'm going through this stuff mentally, I'm strong. I'm putting on a strong face for you, but really deep in my mind, I'm fucking like breaking down and I can't really talk to you about it. So maybe it was easier for him to talk to sex workers. I'm not sure. Maybe in his mind, they're sex workers, as he thought they were inhumane. So maybe it's like, if you're doing this, there's no way you could judge me, so let me confide and talk to them. I don't know. If he wasn't getting therapy, I absolutely believe he needed some therapy. Absolutely needed it. He probably could have benefited from that. So I don't want to know what you guys think. If any of you guys have ever been to war, if you guys are veterans, let us know your experiences. Again, I've never been there, so I can't begin to say, but from what we have seen from other veterans, a lot of veterans do come home and, excuse me, but mentally they are fucked up. I could only imagine the stuff that you would go through and you would see over there that would kind of drive you insane. But turning into a serial killer is extreme. And then for the reason that you stated, to clean up the streets, I don't think they kind of go hand in hand together. I think it's a little off-putting, actually. I feel like maybe if he just would have been like, you know, I don't even remember those. I was having a fucking like mental breakdown. I wasn't myself. I was outside of my body. I was trying to stop, but I could not contain myself. Maybe if I was hearing voices, that might kind of align with things that we've seen or heard from other veterans' experiences with PTSD and trauma from being overseas. The idea and the explanation of wanting to clean up the streets, I feel like that's kind of left field and it doesn't really support it. But hey, who am I? I'm just a girl with a glass of wine talking about other people making poor decisions that I would never make. But please let me know what you guys think. If you guys know about this case, let me know if you guys have any other information. Was he seeing a therapist? Do we know that? If you know, let me know. If this is you guys' first time hearing about this, let me know your thoughts and opinions. Even if you already have heard about this case, still let me know your thoughts and opinions, because again, you might think a little bit differently from me. So please, please, please leave your guys' comments below so we can get that conversation going. Please, please, please. Again, it helps us so much over here. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to this channel, and like this video. Comment your thoughts and opinions. Share it to a friend and tell that friend to share it. If you haven't, go back and watch the previous videos, and then also take a moment to check out our sponsor. Go and check out shopwinegirl.com. Check out their wine inspired merch. Purchase something and make sure you use our code PD15 to get 15% off, because that also supports us here at Poor Decisions. Okay, so again, I'm gonna say it again. Comment your thoughts and opinions below. Follow us on Instagram at It's Poor Decisions. And if you tried this week's wine, the 19 Crimes Red Blend, let me know what you think. For this week's wine of the week, I'm gonna give it 3 cheers because I like it. It's not as dry as the Cab, but it's still kind of giving me a bold flavor, kind of like the Cab. Maybe next week, you know what? Yeah, for next week, I think we'll go down a little bit on the chart and go a little bit sweeter for you guys. I definitely get it. For those of you guys who are trying to go on this journey and try wine with me, the jumps are a little bit. I thought this might have been like a little bit sweeter than what we had 2 weeks ago, but it's kind of giving like a level right under. Like if the Cabernet Sauvignon is here, this red blend is given maybe like right here. And I thought that maybe it would be like right here. So I think we could stand to even go a little bit sweeter to kind of help baby step you guys on in. Comment your thoughts and opinions if you tried this wine. If you guys have any wine recommendations for us, those of you who like wine, please leave your comments below. Let me know. We need all of the recommendations to go on this journey. Also, as I stated, this week was a viewer recommended case. If you have any cases that you would like to see us cover here on Poor Decisions, please let me know, okay? And before I go, I want to say something. I have been learning sign language, okay? Just a little bit. Shout out to my coworker who's been teaching me. So I definitely want to tell you guys this. Have a good week, okay? But anyway, you guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to learn more stuff. So far, I have learned this is wine. And like we're like pouring wine here on Poor Decisions. Yeah. But until next time, make good choices and not poor decisions.